Hello there, this is Patricia from Pinky's World, and this week I'm making a few wee boxes, wee tiny birdhouse boxes, really tiny. They're only 1.5 by 1.5 inches, so really tiny. They'll hold, I've filled these, well I haven't filled it, I've some in there. I'm going to add more of love hearts. I'm making these two for two girls, so I went with pinks. The papers that I have used are from something eclectic. I can never remember the name of it. It's the Stampin' Up, an old set that I bought in their reduced section. I'm not with Stampin' Up anymore, so I'm not pushing anything belonging to them. I'm just trying to use it in my stash. And this, if you use a sheet of 12 by 12, where the pattern's just running higgledy-piggledy, it doesn't have to go any direction, you get 3 out of it. If you're using a patterned one, make sure that your widest part, your 6.5 inches, is the run of the pattern. So you'll have 6.5, like this. This particular pattern doesn't run anyway, so I can get 3 out of that. But if it was, say, this wee pattern, make sure that your design is going with the widest part. Am I making sense? Your widest part has to be so that the pattern runs down the waist. Okay, so your shortest part is the pattern. God, I'm so good explaining stuff, aren't I? But anyway, that's what you need to do, and you'll get 3 out of it if it's not running. So this is, as I said, just scraps, and it's tiny. You'll be able to put maybe one of those chocolate hearts or 2 of those chocolate hearts, and if you want to use it for Valentine's Day, just put a wee heart on it instead of the bird. I used, said again, Happy Hedgehogs for this wee tiny bird. What you need for your box is a piece at 6.5 inches wide by 4.5 drop. Bear in mind that the 4.5 is where your paper's running, because you're folding in the waist. You're going to need to decorate it a piece. I'm just using scrap white, just a thin piece of scrap white, and it measures 1.5 inches wide by 3.5 long. You need 4 wee pieces at 1.5 wide by 1 inch long, and you need a wee fancy pair of scissors or a cut machine. These are ancient, like a cutting machine or a die or whatever, to cut a wee nice wee riveted edge on the bottom. You will need another piece, and this one measures 1.5 by 2 inches long. Just make sure if you're using another, this is out of the same pack, but I'm using the stripes. I thought the stripes was nice, but you can use anything you want, but make sure your patterns run the way you want. This is going to be folded in half for the roof. We'll just do that now. I'm have you here. Make sure it's folded in half, and while it's folded, use your fancy scissors to cut the open end of it, and just cut a wee ridge along the bottom. These are not the best scissors, so if you have a cut machine maybe, or your cutter that has fancy blades on it, you could use that. So look at that. You just want this at either side. I can fix it later. One of those. At these you need your bottoms cut. Just try and keep it along the bottom, and I'm going to cut the other 4 here. So I've cut those out, I've all those prepared then, so we've our join for the top so that we can keep it all together, and we have 2 of these for each side, front and back, or side to side, whatever you want to call it. And this piece here is the centre piece, and you need it folded in 2 as well. And you could use your school board, but every time I use a school board, one side is longer than the other, and I don't know why. It's just as aggravating. So I fold it myself, and then I get it perfect in half. So that will be our wee roof sorted, and you can see that just comes off. It's all joined, so it'll not flap about, but it just comes off, and then they can get into the wee treats. So just pop it back, and you need one of these wee clips. I got these out of Home Bargains or B&M. I think it was actually B&M, £1.50, and you get a big pile of them. You can get them in different colours, and they'll last you for ages. Cheap as chips. So that just holds it closed, and then I've stamped the wee bird, and I have a dimensional on the back of him so I can just stick him from the window. You also need a piece of acetate for the wee window. The window itself is cut using 1 1/8. If you have a wee die, 1 1/8 or 1 2/8, whatever, use that for your window in this. It's much easier than using a punch, but I'm going with punches for speed today. So I'm cutting this at 1.5, so it's bigger than the hole in the window, but it also means it's bigger than my area because I only have 1.5 inches square. So to get over that, I just took my scissors and I cut a straight line and then turn it around to the opposite side and just cut. You're just cutting a wee nick off it, no more, and do the same on the sides, just a wee bit. Go to the opposite one, and that will make it fit into your box but still give you something to cling to when you're sticking it. So we're going to do our, you'll need this to cut this in a minute, or your day, as I said. So get these things out of the way. Get a nice scoreboard. Oops, holy cow, I don't know what I broke off that, but it fell. Whatever it was. Right, so go to your 6-inch side, and we're going to score it at 6.5 inch side, sorry, 1.5, and then we're going to go another 1.5, which brings you to 3. Didn't write this down, of course. Another 1.5, which brings you to 4.5, and then you want to score it at 6, which gives you another 1.5, and it gives you a 1/2 inch side here. So spin that around, and we want to go 1.5, 3, and that's that all done, isn't it? No, listen to me here. You want to give a 1/2 inch at your 4. So I forgot I had reduced this. When I was first making them, I made one that had the same depth as this one. I just didn't like it. It was too much for the roof. I thought it just went too high. It made it really elongated, so I changed it. So that's why we have 4.5 here. We have 1.5 inches score line, and then 3 inches score line, and then 4 inches score line. Okay, so that gives us that wee half up the top. So I'm going to put this away without breaking it now. So we're keeping the 1/2 inch up here and the 1/2 inch down here. Get your scissors and we're going to cut this bit out. Just this way at the end here. And then cut that. And what you want to do now is fold that bottom one up where you cut the bit off and give it a good, make sure it's lining up and give it a good crease. And we want to put our window in this one here. You could go at the end, but when you go around, you're going to see the fold. I inked up mine, you can see it at the bottom here. I inked them up, but it does show if you're using, a piece of paper like I am. You can use card, but I decided to go with this. So before you go any further, just fold up that bottom ridge where you cut the wee piece off, fold it in, and then we're going to go to the second square over, and we're going to punch our hole. And I've already punched one out so that I can stick it. Turn it over actually. I want to gently stick it to this part so that I get it in the center and I know where to go with my punch. So I'm going to thread that through. This one's at the back. Don't worry that it's going to have a hole in it. Unless you're using a die. If you're using a die, go ahead and just cut that out through your die cutting machine. And you won't have to bother with this hole at the bottom. But to do it at this stage, it's a wee bit easier. I'm also going to stick my wee bit of acetate on now, and you can see, hoping you can see that, where maybe it'll show better on the other side just so you can see it. Where I have cut those end pieces off, it allows that to fit inside my square and be fractionally bigger than the hole. And that's what you're aiming for. So I'm actually just going to use the thing itself, if I can see it, and put a wee bit of sticky glue. I'll try and get it up without, and then just stick that so that you're not seeing any gaps or anything disappearing, and that'll give that time to dry so we're ready to go. Now this will be our bottom, so we need to cut up these so it can fold them in. So just go in and, shaky hand, hold still, cut up to there. I'll do that on each of them. This is actually your base. And now we can do a few folds, and the folds is important. I went ahead with my last one and totally forgot to give the folds a good crease, which meant my box was kind of collapsing. I had to go back in and try and fix it. It needs good crisp folds. I'm folding the top one that we half inch the opposite way, and then going back in and folding the rest in this way. And these ones we did fold, but I'll just give them another wee go. Now, where are we now? We're going to need to go sideways. We're going to fold our closure in. Make sure that it's lined up nicely. And then just keep going across, checking that line all the time. Oops. It seems good enough, doesn't it? And then your last wee one. I'm sure you've made these before, haven't you? I've never made one this tiny. I did make a bigger one with a lid closure, but I only wanted wee tiny ones for this particular job. So this is going to close over, and this is going to close, and these two are going to join, which will give you your nice shape. So I'm just going to go in with my glue. You want a good hold on this because it gets the pressure at the top creasing in, you know, for that wee closure. So make sure that it's nicely stuck, especially at the corners. So just fold that over, make sure it's taken nicely. And again, you can go through your folds, flipping it over. Oops. Just do that 4 times, and that gives you your nice wee box that you can see here. Now, if you're going to go in like me and add a bit of ink, I'm actually not adding any more pink to this. There's enough on my brush to deal with this palaver. So I'm just going to add a wee bit of ink around all the edges. You don't need to do this. This is entirely up to you. If you have a white based card, or if you're using a white card, actually you wouldn't have to do it at all, but I don't like the white edges. You can do the top as well. And you can see I have loads of ink on it. If you fold that down, and again just a light brush, fold it the opposite way and do a light brush. And you want to do the same for your bottom bits. I'll fold them all up just. These can be done as well when you start to put it together, which might be actually easier for that particular bit. So this is going to be our wee thing. So we want it to collapse at the sides. Your window has to be flat, and your sides are going to be the ones that pinch together. So they'll be like so, and that gives you that nice wee, doesn't it? Now I'm going the opposite way. Well, this way, towards your window. Silly me. So you can see I can add a bit of that there once I get, it does go on to it okay, and it gives it that wee edge that you've missed once you get these up. But what I did too as well, on the bottom of this one, I restuck the wee circle into this. But if you're inking up, you should be able to cover those white bits with your brush. And if you're not happy with it, try a different area, or do the same thing I did, go and top and rubbish. But I think that actually does better. I'm going to leave it. And we'll just make sure we can actually cut those ones in a wee bit. So take a wee bit off some of them. This is going to be inside, so that's fine. This one is going to cross over, and it's fitting fine as well, but you could take a bit off the end of it there. And where's the wee one this wee one here, if you put it over the top of that, that gives you a nice neat edge there. You can actually put it over the top of 2 of them, and then just finish with this one. and it's going to be a wee bit shorter. So it's entirely up to you at this stage. You want to leave it like that, just ink over it, or do what I did and put that on and then set your wee piece that you cut out into the opening. I think actually I like it. I'm going to leave it. You could actually put a wee stamp of some sort on the bottom, handmade by, or whatever you do. So that's what we're going with. Big decisions there, sorry about that. So do your bottoms first. Leave your bit that you've cut out last. Fold these two in. I'm going to go one with a bit of, God, I haven't made a tutorial for a couple of weeks, and there goes the brain again. Fold that one in. We're going to put a bit on this one. Fold that one in, and then on the last one, and do it quickly so that these other ones are going to be in the right position before the seal. A bit of glue around the edges of that and pop it over. And then just make sure that the inside is where you want it to be. This paper's actually, it's not from Eclectic, it's the wee children's one. It had wee kids on the inside, I forgot about that. So again, we want our ridge to be this way so that the roof sits like so. So that's the way you should have went. Now, is everybody happy with that so far? Oh, I could wear you out, couldn't I? So you can add ink around the edges of your window as well. And if you get any, excuse me, on your window, give it a wee wipe and it just takes it off for you. So any edges that you find are showing a bit of white, just do that. And it really covers them up. Which means you can use your punches and cut anywhere you like without having to worry. That looks like it needs a wee stick there. Without having to worry about your colours showing through. That will just grab that ink for you. And with this, just a wee bit of glue in the centre. Or just leave it, it's entirely up to you, you don't need to use it. Try and match it up where it punched from the last time. It doesn't really matter, like, but if you are that way inclined, I'm not sure what way it goes, I'll stick it there. And you can see if you go to the inside again, push it down, it will grab it. And you've got a nice wee finish. Again, you can add a bit of ink to it. So now back to where we should be. Your sweets will go in now. And then we want to add this. This will go over the top. I'm not even going to score it or anything. I just want it to sit there at the top. So make sure that your either side is level, and then you can go back to your wee doodads. I'm going to put a simple line over one of them, one of the half or the inch long ones. Simple line at the top edge that hasn't got the nice wee cut. And you want it to hang down just slightly lower than that, and use your side pieces to make sure that it's lined up. You can add ink to these as well if you want. The next one, again, go to the top and just go so far up. See where you want, how much depth you want. Say about there. And any crookedness can be trimmed. So go to the other side. You have another two of these cut. So if you fold that in half, you can actually line it up at this side with the opposite one so it comes down the same length. Swishing about all over the place. Just try and line it up with your two sides. Seems okay. And then go in with your other one. Just one wee line at the top. And again, try and position it so that it looks more or less. You can flip it over and track it. Yeah, it's not too bad. And then press it down in place. Whoops. So anywhere it needs trim, just do it with your scissors. If there's a bit of white showing through. And then you have this piece here that is going to be your closure. So just put a tiny bit in where the crease is, tiny bit of glue in the centre there, going to either side, just a fraction. And you're going to set this on top. We can actually do it over here. Put this on your box. Hold it in place so that it's nicely in the half area, and then that gets your point, and then you can lift it off to twiddle. So it gets it right into that point where you want it to be. And then it's just a matter of putting it back on, and where's your wee, here it is, popping this on, and that will keep everything in place and nice and neat. And then if that's sitting on that a while, it will take its form and you'll have no more bother out of it. And just readjust as you need it. So nice. And again, fill it with anything that you find suitable for whatever occasion. It means springtime on, you can use these for Easter or anything, you know. So pop your wee bird just there, and that is us done. Easy enough if I wouldn't talk so much, but I got there in the end. So all the measurements will be down below, and it is pretty easy, and they're so cute. They're so tiny and cute. I mean, you could put them on even in there if you wanted, with a heart suite at the front. You could cut a heart shape there if you wanted instead for Valentine's Day or whatever you're making them for. But either way, nice wee way to use up your scraps. So catch us again soon. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.